Welcome to number 2, edition 2 of Your Questions Answered. I'm Blakey, your host from Golf Rules Questions. And after last week's raging success, I would say, I'm back for another week and more questions answered on this YouTube live stream. So I've got a few questions from the followers, supporters that I've had over the past week that I'm going to ask and provide an answer to. And then, if we've got any other questions, they're more than welcome to fire them away. Now, just for everyone, obviously you need to be a subscriber to watch the live stream. So all of you who are already on, subscribers, so thank you very much. You can join, and I'd love you to join the Golf Rules Questions channel. Minimum is $1.49 a month. Pretty cheap, I would say. Just goes to supporting me, and there's some added benefits to that. More rules questions, etc. So I'd love it if you joined up or show some support through purchasing some merchandise from my spread shirt shop. That would be fantastic as well. Anyway, we'll get into number 2 of Your Questions Answered. So I had Frank from Instagram. Is it recommended now or mandatory that a player inform their marker before they lift a ball to drop it? Very good question, Frank. It's not mandatory that you tell someone that you're taking a drop, but we certainly would recommend it. Okay, we encourage it, but the reason that there's no penalty is, as you know, golf courses are quite big areas, big fields of play, and may delay play if you were to walk over the other side of the fairway into the rough and specifically tell someone that you were intending on taking a drop or lifting your ball. So they've taken away the penalty, but we'd still recommend it where you can. So good idea. Wow, Jerry's on, up and about very early. We were just talking last night, Jerry Bauer and I. So the podcast for that'll come out tomorrow or the next day. Good morning to you too, Jerry. So hopefully, Frank, that's answered your question. Is it recommended now or mandatory? It is recommended. It's not mandatory. You're not going to get penalised if you don't tell your marker before you're lifting a ball to drop it. But if you're unsure, certainly get the marker or the opponent in and help them out. Jerry, if you can hear this, how long until your tee time? How long until you tee off? Let me know. Now, Tuco Quevedo from YouTube. Can I have somebody attending the flag when I am putting? Can I have someone attending the flag when I am putting? Absolutely. That wasn't, and I keep going back to the previous rules. I should move on from that, but that is absolutely an option. You've got 3 options with the flag. Either leave it in, and it doesn't matter where you are on the course. It doesn't matter where you are on the course. You can always choose to leave it in. So that's on the green as well. Or you can have it attended, or you can have it removed. Now, if you have it attended, now I'm just pasting a video of flag sticks that Marcella Smith and I made a couple of years ago. But if you're having it attended, you can't leave it deliberately, have it deliberately left in the hole. So once it's attended, basically you're having it attended just so you can see where the hole is, but you don't actually need the flag stick to be in the hole to, if you consider it helping your ball. So you want to know where the hole is, but you don't want to have the flag stick in the hole to assist with your shot. You can have it left in the hole to assist your shot, but you're not allowed to have it attended when the shot is made. Okay, so let's go, because there's a bit, it seems quite easy, but there's a bit to take in here. One, you can have it left in, and it doesn't matter where you are. Number two, you can have it attended, but if you do have it attended, and it doesn't matter where you are, green or bunker, general area, if you do have it attended, it must be taken out, or it must not be left in. Okay, it must not be left in to affect where the shot, where the ball comes to rest. So if you know it's going to miss the hole, and someone else wants the flag stick in, then you can leave it in, but you can't deliberately leave it in knowing it's going to affect the ball, or it's possibly going to affect the ball. You can't have it left in. And then thirdly, you can have it removed, which is basically the same as having attended, but you're having it removed so you don't, it's 3 foot putt, 8 foot putt, you can see the hole, you don't need it left in, you don't need it attended. And when someone removes it, they should go and place it on the green, or one of the group members holds it throughout. So, and you've sort of passed the buck. So player A putts, player B's holding it. Player B putts, player C is holding it. Player C putts, maybe player A is now finished and player A will finish up holding it, or something like that. Or you can just leave it on the ground. You see in the PGA Tour, the caddy obviously does it. And it's quite interesting with the caddies and the flag stick that they will, whoever is putting will hold the flag stick. So, whoever is putting, their caddy will hold the flag stick. So you actually see that they'll hold the flag stick, and then they'll end up giving it to the person who looks like they're going to be finishing, putting in last. They're going to be finishing the hole. So that's for the flag stick. Now, is there a penalty if you hit the flag stick? There's not if it's been left in the hole. There's not if the hitting of the flag stick was accidental and you just play it as it lies. But there is if it was deliberately struck. So you've hit your ball knowing that the flag stick is going to assist your shot, or someone deliberately leaves it in, then there's going to be a penalty. Okay, and the last situation there is if it's been taken out and then you hit it quite hard and someone goes, oh, or you yell out, I want it put back in. If they put it back in under your you telling them to do that under your request, then you'd be penalised. If someone does it deliberately, not under your request, but of their own volition, they would be penalised. I mean, if that's your caddy, then you're going to be penalised. But they would be penalised in that case. So that all comes down to whether it's accidental or deliberate. I posted a video of Byron. No, not Byron. That's my mate. Bryson DeChambeau and his caddy couldn't get the flag stick out of the hole. And, I posted this on TikTok as well. And they were like, oh, it's not a penalty. It's not a penalty. You can have it attended. You can have it left in. So a lot of people don't understand that if you have it left in, it's fine if it hits it. But if you have it attended, it's not fine if it hits it. Unless it was accidental, which this would have been. So, yeah, a little bit of a confusing, as Jerry says, it's a bit confusing sometimes, because when the option to leave it in came in 2019, everyone just thought, oh, well, if you can leave it in and it gets hit, then if you're having it attended, it's basically the same as leaving it in. But no, it's not. It's basically the same as having it removed, and you have to have it removed. So next question, Hamish from Instagram. Is it illegal to putt from your knees? Is it illegal to putt from your knees? No, it's not illegal to play a shot off your knees. It's not illegal to play a shot off your sitting down. where the club is located and are you anchoring, that's a different situation. That doesn't relate to the specific act of playing a shot off your knees. Now, if you put a towel down before you play a shot off your knees, that would be a breach. That would be considered building a stance. But if you wrap the towel around your legs or put wet weather pants on to protect them, then there's not going to be an issue there. Okay, which I know sounds a bit weird, but if you're just doing it to protect your pants, it's different to building a stance. And they had to make a cut off there somewhere, and that's what they got to. Ask Craig Stadler. That's correct. So Craig Stadler, Jerry, have you got a date for that? I'd say early 90s. No, maybe late 90s, 97, 98 or something like that. Craig Stadler he was leading the tournament and he put a towel down and played off the towel and, got down on his knees and played off the towel and ended up incurring a 2-shot penalty, which he didn't add to his scorecard and got disqualified. And then later on, they had a bit of a funny thing where he came back and took his revenge on the tree, shall we say. So, ended up cutting it down or whatnot. Rightio. No, don't know the date. No, I don't know the date either. And then we have Charles from an email sent to me. Can a ball deemed to be plugged if it is in a pile of pine straw and not touching the ground? No, and it's quite interesting you say pine straw. I brought this one up. I'd actually put this in last night and then I didn't realise I was going to post about Jordan Spieth, which I posted on Instagram and Facebook today. I posted the Jordan Spieth situation from Quail Hollow 4 years ago or so, and when he actually moved a lot of pine straw out of the way before he dropped his ball, which you're allowed to do. If you're taking relief, taking a drop, you are permitted to remove loose impediments in your dropping area before you drop. Now, if you place the ball, if you're replacing, it's a different situation. You're not allowed to remove loose impediments that will affect where your ball would actually be at rest before you replace the ball. But if you're dropping, it's a different situation and you are permitted to remove the loose impediments. So that was the 4 questions for number 2 of your questions answered. Does anyone else have any questions this week? Now, it's interesting because Melbourne has gone back an hour, gone forward an hour. Gone forward an hour. So what was 7:30 last week is now 8:30. But I've put this on at 8 o'clock. Unfortunately, that doesn't quite work for the North Americans or the South Americans as well. So I apologise for that. Still trying to work out exactly the best time to do this your questions answered, but it was good last week, so we'll crack on. Does anyone have any questions? I want to try this poll feature as well. So create a question. What's a question off the top of my head? What is the max length? Yeah. Oh, I could do that as well. That might work. Here we go. Let's see if this poll works. 5:15 here. You're crazy, Jerry. If a penalty is missed because the players didn't know it was a penalty, and the cards are signed, and everyone, I see, and everyone goes home, is the game void? Asking for a friend. Justin. Have you been drinking, Justin? No, Justin's one of my best supporters, so great question. If a penalty is missed because the players didn't know it was a penalty, and, well, previously, Justin, that would have been a disqualification. Okay, that would have been disqualification because you've handed in a scorecard with a lower score than what you've had. But now, since 2019, the penalty is added to the score because they didn't know it was a penalty and they've already signed the cards. As long as they didn't know and the penalty wasn't disqualification. I mean, if the penalty was disqualification, then he's disqualified regardless. But if say it was a general penalty or one-shot penalty and they didn't know they'd incurred it, kicking the ball and not replacing it or something like that, then they just add that penalty to the score. So instead of having an 80, they've now had an 81 or an 82, whatever it was. Yeah, Jerry, that was a good rule change. Yeah, Jerry and I, and you're going to listen to if you listen to the podcast, we had a good chat about it last night. It's probably one of my best questions for the podcast guests is, what rules they don't like or what rules they'd change. So, we talked about something, a rule similar to that as well that possibly is a bit outdated. So I hope that answered your question, Justin. Stuart, Rule 4.3, you are not allowed to use an artificial object to get other wind-related information, such as using powder to assess wind direction, yet you can throw grass. Do you know why? It's all about being artificial. So, again, they just have to draw the line somewhere. Grabbing grass and throwing it up is such a traditional thing that I would never want them to change that. But they didn't want it to get out of hand where, people were bringing powder or other kinds of artificial material or devices to determine what the speed of the wind was. A lot of these things, they seem harmless and people go, oh, why would you stop someone doing that? If they want to do that, go ahead. I like stopping them doing that kind of stuff because it slows down play. Like, let's just get back to simple golf. Tee the ball up, hit the ball down the middle. Don't worry about all this, fluffing around. That's how I would want it to go. Yes, that's correct, Jerry. But Jerry said, but a smoker can light up a cigarette. Jerry, can they light up a cigarette to have a smoke? Or can they light up a cigarette or light up a cigarette to specifically test the wind? That's the question there. If they're just lighting it up to have a smoke, then they're going to be okay. But if they're lighting up a cigarette to test which way the wind is going, then they're not going to be okay. They're going to be in a bit of a breach of the rules there. Interestingly enough, if it's a cold morning and you have that your breath, hot breath, condensation, that kind of thing. Don't ask me. I'm not a biologist or chemist, maybe. Anyway, that wouldn't be considered artificial. That's just your natural breath, oxygen and carbon dioxide. How about dandruff? yeah, that's natural. That's not an artificial material. So Justin, hope you don't have a lot of dandruff. We get this question asked a lot, where what about a flag on someone's golf bag? And the answer to that is, if the flag is there to promote your team and show your support for your team, it's going to be okay. But if the flag is there deliberately to assess which way the wind is and how hard it's blowing, then you're going to be in a bit of strife. So it really comes down to that integrity, that what have you really got it there for? That's what it comes down to. Now, I've opened up the poll question. Oh, interesting. So I asked the poll question, what is the maximum length of a tee? I put 3 inches, 4 inches, or 5 inches. And currently, 4 inches and 5 inches are neck and neck. And now we've just had a change. We're going 4 inches is leading with 50%. So half of the people think that 4 inches is the maximum length. And then 38% think it was 5 inches. You'll actually find the answer in the definitions under T. So if I just end the poll, does it give us it doesn't give it. So it was 50%. Under the definitions of tee, an object used to raise a ball above the ground to play it from the teeing area. It must be no longer than 4 inches and conform with the equipment rules. There you go. That's the answers, and the results have come up as well, so that's pretty good. Jerry, I had a group ask me about hanging ribbons off their golf bag to check the wind. Yeah, spot on. We get that question a lot. And the answer is, you can't hang a ribbon off or a flag off to deliberately check the wind. But, if you're hanging a ribbon or a flag and you have no reason for hanging it on there to test the wind, then you're going to be okay. Stuart, I don't like rule 10.2 as I think it can be too subjective. Plus, it is breached all the time, intended to influence a player. How do we ever know the player's intentions? Any thoughts? Yeah, 10.2 advice. I think I mentioned that in the podcast with Fraser. That's definitely my least favourite rule. I just don't. It's broken. One, it's broken all the time in clubland, and two, I just don't see how it plays that big a part. But again, if it's there to speed up play so people aren't conferring and saying, "Oh, I think you should hit 5," and then it's probably a good thing. So if that's one of the reasons, the on-flow effect of that rule, then I'd actually leave it in. Even though I dislike it the most. James T, always wonder about the referees at the PGA tournament or even local ones. Do they get paid? What's typical salary for those guys? Thanks. James, yeah, it depends which tour. They're rare jobs to get. I should know. But if you're on a lower tour, say Australia, you're looking at 70,000, 80,000. Say the European tour, you might be on 30,000 starting, or maybe even less. But it grows. The PGA tour is probably, it's the biggest tour in the world. It's probably 100,000. The LPGA, and that's 100,000 in the US. The LPGA might be a little bit lower, might be sort of around 65, 70. They're great jobs. a lot of those bigger tours, you're working 28 weeks of the year and you got 24 weeks off. But those 28 weeks that you're working, it's almost definitely tournament days are 5 a.m. starts, or get up at 5 a.m. at least, and then you're finishing at 6 p.m. or whatever it is. The other days, the Monday through Wednesday, might be more of a 6 a.m. start, because you've got to be there when the players are ready to practice in case they have any questions for you. And then, as Jerry mentioned, he doesn't get paid for the work that he does, the volunteers. There's lots of volunteer referees out there. They do they do the work for the love of the game. A lot of the time, and this is what we sort of hope for, is referees aren't needed, or players don't believe that they need them, even though they probably do. But it's not like a basketball ref or a footy ref or a cricket umpire where you're involved every play. How do metric countries manage? My kids have no idea what 4 inches is in metric. Okay, so an inch, correct me if I'm wrong, because I always get this mixed up. I think an inch is 2.56 centimetres. So times 2.56 by 4, and you're about 10.24 or something like that. It might be 2. I always get it mixed up. It might be 2.54. Anyway, around 10 centimetres, Ray. But it's certainly not 7.5 centimetres, and nor is it 12.5 centimetres. 24.4. Yeah, there you go. 25.4. So it is. So 10.16 then. Yeah, James, it can be pretty it can be pretty decent, but there's not so many jobs going, and you got to be really good at your rules, but you also got to be really good at player management. Dealing with players, talking to players. Jerry had a good him and I, when we had a chat last night. He's saying you got to be there as a referee to help people. And a lot of the time, you won't get thanked by the players. They're not too fast. They're busy doing their thing, but they'll become familiar with you if you're a consistent referee, and at least they'll start learning your name and whatnot. So that's not too bad. But it can be a good job for some people. There's lots of travel in it. Lots of travel. Like if you're of those 28 weeks, you're going to be travelling 28 weeks, unless one of the tournaments is in your hometown. Have we got any other questions? More than welcome to. You can also, if you're feeling generous, there's a super chat option there, and you can pay for a question if you like, if you think the price is right, or otherwise just join up, buy some merchandise. But any other questions? Otherwise, we will call it quits on episode 2 of Your Questions Answered. And remember, the podcast will be coming out tomorrow on YouTube, and probably Sunday morning on Anchor once I get that sorted. Okay. Oh, here we go. James is back. If I may, I know the arm lock putter is legal, but is there a plan to make it illegal? I don't think so at this stage, James. That this is just an opinion by me. It'd be interesting to see if they do. I don't know if the anchoring really achieved what it needed to achieve. It possibly got back to being traditional, but I didn't really see that it was a huge benefit. But the arm lock, when they wrote the rule, they were pretty happy that the anchoring starts after the elbow. So I think you'll be they're not changing the rules until 2023, and I don't think anyone's been talking about the arm lock being changed. So I think you're at least safe for just over 12 months anyway. Okay. Well, that was really good. I'll be back with more questions next week. Possibly try a different time. Around this time for obviously Australians, and I know the UK will be awake, although it's in the middle of the day. Jerry obviously loves getting up early, but I would like to try and give the North Americans and South Americans the chance to be awake. But I've got to try and work out with my own personal time body clock, whether I can wake up that early. So thank you everyone for your questions and continued support. And I think who said it before? Who said it? Adam. As it is said, without rules there is chaos. So without rules there is chaos. Thank you very much, and have a good night or a good day if you're just starting out. Thank you.